I'm now going to show you how to make the times table concertina card that I showed you earlier in the video. You need a piece of plain A4 paper, or card is even better. I'm going to use paper today. And you need a ruler and a pencil. First of all, you've got to fold the paper in half, but do it lengthways like this. Interesting tip for folding, by the way, keep it on the table and run your fingers along and you get a nice even fold. Then fold it in half this way and fold it in half again in the same direction. Again, running your fingers along the table to make a nice neat fold. And there we go, now we've made the concertina. So that opens out, you've got 4 sections on one side, 4 sections on the other, and you can open it out to have a further 8 sections inside, and you can even fold it back on itself as well. So you can look at one side or the other. Okay. Finally, you're going to have to draw some lines on here so that you can write your answers straight. And to do that, we need to do a little bit of maths. So an interesting maths challenge here now. The width of this piece of paper is 105 millimeters. And I need 12 lines because there's going to go to 12 in the times tables. So I need to do 105 divided by 12. And those of you that are brilliant at maths will know the answer will be 8. 8 is the magic number because 8 times 12 is 96, whereas 9 times 12 will be 108, which would be just a few millimeters too many. So we're going to need 8 millimeter lines. So I'm going to line up the top of the ruler with the top of my edge there, and I'm going to do every 8 millimeters. So a really good opportunity here to practice our 8 times table. So 1 times 8 is 8, 2 times 8 is 16, 3 times 8 is 24, 4 times 8 is 32, 5 times 8 is 40, 6 times 8 is 48, 7 times 8 is 56, 8 times 8 is 64, 9 times 8 is 72, and 10 times 8 is 80, 11 times 8 is 88, and 12 times 8 is 96. So we now have dots every 8 millimeters on that side. Don't move the paper, but move the ruler to the other side and measure from the same edge as before, every 8 millimeters. This time I'm going to count in 8s. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72, 80, 88, and 96. And once you have the dots down both sides, you can line up your ruler with the dots and draw a straight line. Now I recommend that you draw your line very, very, very faintly on yours in case you make a mistake. It's going to be easier to rub out. I'm going to do mine very, very dark so you can see it on the camera. But when you do yours, do it really, really lightly. I'll do one example for you. So barely touching the paper at all. Now I can see that line. You probably can't see it very well on the camera though. But that's how light you should try to get it. I'll do the others dark so you can see them. And if you want, you can even draw lines down the folds. And then you can start writing your times table. So the first one will be 1 times 1 equals 1. And then 2 times 1 equals 2. And so on. So the next one here would be 1 times 2. And this one will be 1 times 3. And then do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then you've got a final page to practice other things like your number bonds, for example, and that's how you make your concertina card. I'm going to show you how to make a times table grid on the computer. So once you've got it set up, you can then make them really, really quickly without having to draw them out by hand every time, and then also calculate the answers for you automatically as well. So here we go. I'm going to use the program Excel. I'm using this one online, so it might look a little bit different to the Excel that you might use from your desktop, but the principle will be the same. So the first thing is I'm going to start a new sheet, and I want to try to change the size of the cells. So I need a 13 by 13 grid for this. So I highlight 13 of the columns like this. There we go. And I do a right click, and I'm going to resize those rows. 60 pixels I think works pretty well. Again, your menu options on your desktop Excel will look a little bit different, but basically you find where you need to resize cells and do that. I need 13 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and I'm going to resize those. Again, 60 is a pretty good number. And now I've got my squares. I can use my zoom to see things larger, obviously, or if I want to see everything all on the same page, I can zoom back. Now I'm going to highlight the squares that I have created, the 13 by 13 grid, and I go to my borders, and I'm going to put the borders in like that. So now I've got my grid. I'm now going to type the multiplying symbol in the top corner, and I hit return, and that then consolidates the cell, but it's really small. So now I need to change the font size. So let's go for something like 18. There we go. And I probably also want to put it in the center as well. Now I'm going to write numbers randomly from 1 to 12 across the top. So these are my randomly generated numbers for the grid today that I'm going to do. And I want to do the same down this column. And we're ready to go. I could now print that out, and I can write my answers in the cells, time myself, see how well I did. But when it comes to calculating the answers, here's the really clever bit about using Excel, why it's such a useful program to use. If I now click on this cell where I want this answer, and I press the equals key on the keyboard, and then click on this cell, and then multiply, which is shift 8, which is the asterisk, and then click on the cell that I want to multiply it with, and hit return, it gives me my answer. If I click on that cell, we can now see the formula is equals A2 times B1. So this is cell A2, and this is cell B1, and it gives me my answer. So it's done A2 times B1. Now the reason it's better to use cells rather than numbers is that now if I change this number to something else, then the answer automatically changes because I've used a formula. Now the very clever part, which will save you lots of time, so you don't have to do this 144 times. You go to in front of the A and you put a $sign in front of it, which is shift 4 on the keyboard. And you go in front of the 1 and you put a $1 in front of the 1. What that does is then fixes column A and fixes row 1. So watch what happens now. I go to the cell with my formula in, I click at the bottom right hand corner of that cell, and I drag it all the way across, and then I let go, and it's automatically put the answers in for me. And the reason it's done that is it's predicting what I want to do. So when I come across to this column, it knows that I want to keep coming back to column A because I put the $, there, but it changes the column every time it comes across the row. So if I go here, it's multiplying the second number by column D and the next number by column E. So Excel is very cleverly changing that letter as we go along. So using the same principle, I now just need to highlight the entire row, go to the bottom right hand corner, left click and drag down, let go, and it's now calculated all of the answers for me. To improve the formatting a little bit, I'm just going to put my question numbers in bold so they stand out from the answers. Another thing you could do, of course, is change the colour of the font so that the answers stand out. And now here's a really clever part. If I now put those numbers in white, I can't see them, which is great. So I can print that out, I can do my questions, and then I come back and I change the colour, and now I can see them all. And that's a way of not having to redo the formulas every time. And the beauty of this is, once I've saved that and I'm set up, next time I could just type in my numbers randomly, and as I go, you will notice that because the formulas are still in the cells, I didn't delete them, then as I add my numbers, the answers are automatically calculated. And that is how you can set yourself up a times table grid using Excel. Enjoy.